What's up, everyone? For those who don't know me, I'm Chase Reinford, and I am the owner of Exile Base. And today we're going to talk about the Gryphus, our canopy. We're going to cover everything from why we started this company, why we designed the parachute the way we did, why we love it, why we don't like it, and everything else in between. So stay tuned, watch till the very end.
Yes!
The Gryphus isn't for everybody, but we do believe that it is one of the safest canopies on the market simply because of its design and its characteristics. Granted, everybody's got a preference. Everybody likes, certain cars, they like certain foods, certain women. If you're a squirrel jumper, you might like men, stuff like that. But it's all preference, and that's okay. The canopy that I designed was based on my preference. In my style of flying, I like to be able to go fast, but I also like to be able to do super technical, like low, sketchy shit. And I like to wingsuit, and I like to do terminal tracking and aerials. I like to do every discipline of base jumping, so that's why the Gryphus was designed to be able to do all of those things. Now let's say I'm going to claim that it's the best canopy in the world at everything that it does. It's not. Nobody can claim that any parachute is the best at everything, right? Because it has to be purpose-built for that. The purpose of the Gryphus was to excel in all disciplines, be pretty damn good at everything, not the best at one thing. You can see from all of the videos that the Gryphus has jumped and opened some of the most technical exits in the entire world. It is incredibly capable to do whatever you want to do with it. Low free fall, slider up, wingsuiting jumps. You are openly jumping other canopies.
Oh yeah.
So you have a vast opinion on different types of canopies and the comparisons, and you still choose to jump the Gryphus.
Absolutely. I mean, all the canopies that I have at this point are used for different purposes, and I think the Gryphus, it's really easy to say that it's super versatile because I've jumped it in so many different fashions in the sport of base, and I find that it works in all of them. But for the slider off setting, it's my go-to now, easily.
We're not going to try to fool you with our marketing or make up a bunch of stuff trying to make our product look like the best, because a lot of marketing these days from other companies is just flat out deceitful. Now, we know there's pros, we know there's cons, but with everything in aerodynamics, it's a give and a take. You can't have everything, but in our opinion, we created a perfect blend of safety, performance, fun, and just overall predictability in a parachute. So that's what the Gryphus is. That's why we designed it. That's where we're at today.
The one thing that kind of stood out to me initially on my first few jumps on the latest version of the Gryphus was the glide and versatility and reaction. So all of those three things I just mentioned I think are super important for my style of jumping in the slider off world. I know what the canopy is going to do. I know how fast it's going to react when I need it to. And I know that I can rely on that powerful glide to get me to better LZs than what we've got to offer out here.
One of the first things you're going to notice when you jump the Gryphus is that it outglides any other parachute on the market, and that's undeniable.
Look at Hannah all the way down there. Holy shit, the Gryphus glides.
Put it to the test. Jump next to anybody else on any other canopy, and you're going to go further. You're going to outglide them every single time, which is epic for when you need to make that far LZ, or if you pull a little low for some reason, you're still going to make that LZ.
It's just an exit point that we jumped today that requires a long fly out, and the further you can get, the better the LZ is, so took advantage of the glide and took it to a better spot. A couple of the other canopies had to land short, and it is what it is.
The main misconception right now with the Gryphus is that it's a super sporty canopy, because people see the way I fly it and they think, wow, that thing's like a speed wing. That's just not the case. It's a very docile canopy at its core. We kept the canopy very forgiving, but at the same time, if you want to get fast, if you want to like really rip the talus in the train, you can hang on fronts. It loves it. We designed it to be extremely stable and predictable on fronts, but in full flight, arms up, it's going to be a nice docile, slow forward speed canopy. Now, the cost of that is less speed equals less lift, less power to flare, but that's easily combated by tapping on some fronts and getting some speed before you're coming into land. I typically like to swoop it in just for fun, for speed. It's what I enjoy doing, but you certainly do not need to hang on fronts or swoop it to get a good flare out of the Gryphus, which is also another common misconception.
So I have been doing a lot of front riser approaches to like aggressive flares. The past 10 jumps have been deep break approaches, which to be honest, I haven't done a lot of, and it f***ing has it. So kind of nice.
The Gryphus has a very specific flare, and you'll learn this as you jump the Gryphus more. It doesn't like to be punched out last second. It likes a two-stage slower flare, so you're slowing down the canopy over 2 or 3 seconds, and then you're punching out the rest just before you touch down. The packing. A lot of people complain about the packing at first because, like I said, it's a whole new airfoil. The entire thing is unique. It isn't like any of the other canopies you've packed before.
Even packing that canopy is unique. So I knew when I was getting into like reduction folds on the tail, I was like, oh, interesting.
The tail's quite a bit longer. The nose is using a semi-rigid ZP fabric, which isn't found on any other base canopy. And those things combined make it a little funky to pack. But for me and a lot of others that have been packing the Gryphus for a while now, I don't even notice any problems with it at all. It just is second nature by now. But at first, you're gonna be like, this is a little weird. There's not very many cons, but the elevator on the Gryphus, when you're trying to deep brake, sink it straight down like an elevator, it's a little bit weird on the Gryphus. It's different than what you're used to.
There's a very fine teeter point when you're that deep in the brakes where it feels like that canopy wants to either like bang backwards or bang forwards.
So it requires a little bit more finesse and more training to figure out where that elevator point is. And because the airfoil is such a high lift airfoil, when you get into deep brakes, it's actually increasing lift. And yes, you're parked, but you're still floating. You're just sitting there. And then just beyond that point, that's where it's going to elevator straight down.
The thing I like about the Gryphus is once you've learned that fine line and really fine tuning it, now you have so much more range. It just takes more time to really develop that like muscle memory of like, right here I know it's going to sink, and then I know right like here it's going to start doing that, and then right here I'm going now backwards.
And it backflies incredibly well, better than any canopy I've ever seen fly backwards. You can turn that thing around immediately. If you were having an off heading towards a cliff, you can either flat spin that thing or you can backfly it off the cliff with just toggle inputs, which is not comparable to any other canopy. Once you do figure it out, you're going to love the flare, you're going to love the elevator, you're going to love the backflying capabilities. It is just a different parachute. It's very unique, and it does take a little bit of time to feel this parachute out. Another thing that a lot of people notice is how fast it opens. It opens extremely fast. It's pressurized almost immediately, and as soon as you can reach those toggles, you can turn the canopy on a dime. And we've tested this in real life scenarios, opening towards the cliff intentionally several times, and every single time it has performed incredibly well. A lot of people are shortening their bridles, they're shortening their line sets, and they're doing all this weird stuff to make their parachutes open faster for low free fall, whereas the Gryphus just does it. It just does it. And at the same time, you can go off and put a wingsuit on and fly this thing off of a mountain, and it also just excels in every environment. So that is one of the main things I love about the Gryphus is how fast it opens, and you can just ask anybody.
Are we not fucking mentioning how built this thing is?
It's slightly heavier than a lot of other comparable size ultralight canopies on the market.
You could even see that as a complaint or a negative. It's just fucking beefy.
Simply because we're using slightly stronger materials. We are still using the PN9 from Porsche for the ultralight fabric, but the internals are about 20% stronger than a traditional base canopy.
When I first got my hands on the Gryphus, the new rendition, I was like, holy f***, this reminds me of my blackjack. You know? Low pack volume blackjack.
It is a beefy tank, yet still low pack volume, still very light, but just a little bit heavier than comparable ultralights, and I'm talking maybe a few ounces heavier. But overall, I'll take that any day for the extra peace of mind. So that being said, there's a lot of other unique design characteristics of the Gryphus that aren't really widely known. Everybody thinks it's a clone, it's a copy, yada yada. Now, every other canopy on the market is essentially a copy or a clone of something, and they've all basically just cloned each other's work. And that all started with the Raven. And if you want to take the Raven and you want to measure the OSP side by side, you'll see it is exactly inch by inch the exact same canopy with the exact same trim. With Exile, the whole point of the thing was to do something different, because why would we do something that's already been done over and over again. We wanted something unique, something different. So we started from complete scratch. That's why it took so long to develop the Gryphus. Almost 6 years at this point. It has been a painful and long, arduous process. And now I'm finally at a point where I'm extremely proud of the end result, the end product, the quality, the performance, the reliability, everything about this canopy I am so proud of. And I would love for everybody to get their hands on one and take it for not just one spin, but get to know the canopy, jump it 20, 30 times, and really feel it out and really see what it's capable of. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. If you have any questions at all regarding Exile, the Gryphus, or FJCs, shoot me an email, info@exilebase.com, or if you're interested in buying a Gryphus or demoing a Gryphus, reach out and we will get you guys sorted, get you flying, and we appreciate all the support and we thank you so much. Much love, everybody. Catch you guys at the exit point.